Hey everybody, this is a, shit, I always forget to do this. This is episode 10, I believe?
It's
I always
episode
forget to
some-
do this. This is the worst part of me. But I'm pretty sure it's like, we are either in double digits now or like very close to double digits.
Uh, I'll see. I'll see if I can.
Now I'm
find
looking
out.
it up right now, it's alright. Where is it? Anyhow, this is some episode of the Skullgirls Oceania podcast, and we're kind of doing this a little bit too late because uni caught up with me. It was pretty rough, so I didn't want to set up anything, and nobody else was super keen on it either, which is fine with me.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is 10.
It is 10? Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyhow, today we're gonna try to discuss training mode, and first of all in a very basic standpoint, but also in a little bit more of a philosophical standpoint. And to assist me with this, I'll be in training mode over here, and with a team that I currently play and a team that I currently face a lot. So, and with me we have Age, CM, and Mal. You guys want to say hi or anything like that?
Hello.
Hello.
Age? Cool. I guess he didn't say anything. So that's cool. So first off, just to start us off of some like really easy discussion to have, kind of want to just go over the basic training options that we have in Skullgirls. Just as a very, very, very basic. Are you meaning me? You didn't make any sound when your mic lit up, so I don't know. Okay, cool. That's neat. So
Rip, He got bodied.
yeah. So okay, it just worked a little bit. I'm not sure. So the basic options that we have in training mode, which you can go by hitting start and then you go training options. The first thing that we see is slow motion, which goes from off to 75% to 50% to 25 to 10. We'll just kind of discuss each option as we get to it, and also what setting do you prefer the option to be at? So slow motion, I guess I'll start with this. I just keep it at off whenever possible. I don't really mess with it too much. I don't really care to use it. Do you guys use it for anything?
Is my mic working now?
It's working
Ah,
now.
yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
Yeah, I think slow motion is completely
Yes.
out of date now that we've got debug keys.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I used to use it a lot for research purposes, but now that we have debug keys, I don't really need to use slow motion at all anymore.
Yeah.
Because debug keys is just more precise.
True.
And if you want slow motion, it's a single button press while in the game instead of going through menus and then scrolling across.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess this is a good point to bring up. So debug keys are enabled by going into your launch options in Skullgirls, and let me see what it's actually meant to be. It's it's hyphen debug keys. If you put that as one of your launch options, you can hit 0 and they will stop your game, and then you can
Yes.
hit the minus button and it will go frame by frame, so you can advance one frame at a time.
Yeah.
And if
And
you hit the
also-
plus button, the equals or plus button, it will go into slow mo. I don't know how much slow mo that is. I think it's probably 10% or something.
So how it works is that if you're at regular speed, if you press minus, it'll go to slow mo. If you press minus again, it'll stop. And
Yeah.
then if you press minus while it's stopped, it'll advance. If you press plus while it's stopped, it'll go back to slow mo. If you press plus while it's in slow mo, it'll go.
Do you know
back
how
to-
much slow mo that is? I feel like it's 10%, but I can't be bothered looking it up.
I have no idea. It doesn't really matter a lot to me. The same thing actually exists in.
Oh, it is
GFA.
10%. I just looked it
I
up.
found out the other day.
It is
I didn't
10%.
realize that was also in that game.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
But that's basically like a more advanced version of slow motion. So slow motion is out of date nowadays, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, anybody else have anything else to add about it? Not really.
Nah.
Okay, cool.
I mean, there's not really much to say about it. It's pretty
And
straightforward.
oh yeah, just
I mean, we could talk about what we use debug keys for now, since it's the same.
we
sort
can
of
go over that at the end
thing.
because it's not really a
Yeah.
training mode option. I just want to go into actually no, that's a good point. We should talk about it right now because we'll forget it otherwise. So debug keys. I primarily use debug keys just so I can like, if I get hit by some dumb setup, I can try to recreate it and see what the technicalities are of the setup.
Yeah,
But
it's
outside of that, it's not really incredibly useful for me.
it's useful for when you need that like extra precision.
Do you guys know how
for
debug keys
certain
work
things.
in replays?
I think they do. Let me check. I'm pretty sure they do. I haven't tried it before though.
Because I know slow-mo works in debug in
Yeah,
replays.
that, like a lot of things do work in debug.
I just got a silly idea
Yeah, what's up?
that I have no idea how practical it would be to implement.
Yeah, you can.
Excellent.
So debug keys were sorry,
Yeah, they
debug keys
do work in
working.
replays. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's neat.
Yeah, so the idea is, you know how you have the automated replay viewer?
Yes.
What if there was like a tool to import?
Oh, I know exactly what you're gonna say, and that's
Yeah.
the sickest shit, but that's kind of hard. I don't know how to do that.
Oh, basically
like
like parse inputs into training mode.
Yeah, like pass
Yeah.
inputs from replays and then recreate the same thing in training mode. That
Yeah.
would be
That
like
was
the
a suggestion I
biggest
made to
thing
Mike, like in
Yeah.
2015, I think.
So there's that idea, but also like being able to save, like, all right, now here's the set of 3 recordings to defend against this mix-up, and
Yeah.
now you can load it, and now it's just there if you want to load it and practice again.
Yeah, as in
Yeah.
saving it for later.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of something that TFH did, where you can like save combo trials. You can
Yeah.
make combo trials and use
Yeah.
them, but
But that's neither here nor there. That's just a
yeah, that's a
silly
completely
side.
different thing. Yeah.
It'd be dope if you could like save replays, like not replays, training mode replays as like an actual file. I think Multiplex
Yeah,
can do that.
that would be extremely useful.
But that's just sidetracked into oblivion. So
Yeah.
debug
So-
keys. Oh, sorry, Ace. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 things I use it for. Again, it's like precision stuff, but there's also if my execution is terrible and I really want to know, does this thing possibly work? I can just do frame by frame inputs to make sure
Yeah.
whether it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, in some situations, the frame counter doesn't give you an accurate result for what you're looking for. Like if hit stop is involved, sometimes it's a bit iffy.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I was going to talk about. Yeah.
So if you want to count the number of frames something is affecting you and take into account hit stop, you can do a frame advance and just count manually, which sucks, but it gives you extra options.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
I didn't really think of using that at all.
Yeah, so that kind of brings me to what I was gonna say, that because I used it a bunch last year when I was doing a crap ton of like data collection things, like that time where I worked out the hit stop and all the supers in the game. How I did that is I had player 1 doing the super and player 2 dashing. I had cheat engine open in another window to like track the position of player 2. So that once the position of the dashing character changed, like they were no longer in hit stop, I was able to use debug keys to work out like the exact amount of frames of hit stop that all the supers induced. So that's another thing that it's useful for. Is like, yeah, it's for the precision, for like data collection and that sort of stuff. I used the same approach for collecting data on like dashes and stuff when I made that video about like the optimal dash movement.
It's very much a game exploration
It's
tool.
yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of like a like big nerd thing.
I just did something with
there
that
is,
as well
like-
right now. That people can see like when they see the recording is you can use it to check like whether something has like special recovery in certain situations. Like I just did like a bill of jumping heavy punch, and then try to see how much landing recovery I had as I was landing with it, and I could see that I was 2 frames by using hitboxes, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Oh yeah, Hitboxes.
There is some use for it in practicing muscle memory. If you want to set up a recording that has a really specific timing or a perfect timing, because
Oh,
then
yeah.
you can work out, is this safe against perfect
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. It is very good just to create, like, you can do things like maybe create a dummy recording that has just like 1 frame of them mashing a sys macro or something like that.
Yeah.
Or just like really short recordings that can make it like easier to time things.
I just want to say another reason that I just remembered why people use slow motion is for the big band music.
Yeah.
But I'll just stop at
You
that.
can do that, yeah. That's a thing you can do.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my use of slow motion and debug keys.
Yeah, it's slow motion doesn't get the most use. Debug keys, it's all right, but I wouldn't say it's the most essential thing to have in your arsenal.
depending on the kind of player you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some people are really into that.
It's got niche uses, I believe. I guess so. Like,
It's a big fat nerd option.
Yeah, pretty
I think
much.
we'll all agree.
Yeah. I guess that's it. That's it for slow motion. I guess you guys keep it off at all times unless you want to mess around with it.
Yeah.
So attack data. I'll keep it at off for now. If you keep it at off, you don't see anything special. If you set it at simple, you can see your life, your red life, your damage multiplier that you're doing to the opponent, the damage per hit, the damage in the whole combo, and the max damage you've ever done in like how long you say, or like since you've restarted the game. And then you can see your combo stage, which shows you your IPS stage and your undizzy. And if you put it to advanced, you can see a frame counter up the top of the screen, and then you can see frame data down the bottom. You can see it where Beowulf is kicking, like right there. Let me start off with this. What setting do you guys keep that at when you?
I have all of those on and advanced.
Yeah, I have it at
Yes.
advanced at all times unless I want to record a video for like presentation purposes, and then I might put it on simple or even off.
So I mean, I guess a lot of this like knowledge is very obvious, but what do you guys use it for? Like, is there anything specific? Oh, I forgot. It also
It's not
tracks
so
your
much using it all the
Yes,
time. It's
I
the
was
fact that
gonna
it doesn't affect me doing normal stuff. So when I need it, I can just look at it.
Yeah,
The
it's
information's
like a
just there.
convenience thing.
I just remembered one more thing. It also keeps your IPS buttons tracked in the
Yes,
center of the
okay.
center. What
Yep,
special, what
it's-
buttons, what ground buttons, and what air buttons you've used, and what specials you've used
Yep.
in your IPS combo. You can
And
see
not-
this information during replays as well, so you can just set how much damage you're doing to somebody in a replay and see if you could do a little bit more to kill them or something like that, and how much life they were left with, and
Yes.
options like that.
And one other thing that it does is that it shows you, if you have it on advanced, it shows you the PBGC window.
Ah, yeah, true. Forgot
Yeah,
about
if
that.
you push block it, if you push block something, the thing in the middle flashes green during the PBGC window. So it's useful for if you're trying to learn how to PBGC things. Sometimes the window is inconsistent because of hit stop from attacks attacking you during push block, so it can make it a bit longer or shorter.
It also tracks IPS, that window.
Oh, I just remember it keeps you a big band parry as well if you're playing big band. You
Yeah,
have to big band
yeah,
parry as
yeah.
well.
It also does that, so it's useful for knowing like when those windows are, how long it takes for them to refresh, when you're actually parrying something or what isn't a valid parry input.
I think it only shows you the PBGC window if you're P1, I believe, right? Because I can't do it. I can't get it to have it on P2. unless I'm
Yeah, I
mistaken.
believe that is the case. Just if you have an assist or something that you can, I think would be a good way to demonstrate it.
I just did a block string, and I can now I can try that. Okay, sweet. And you can see the green flash over there in the middle. I'm not gonna say that again.
It is kind of mainly nerd stuff on that window, but I do think it's helpful.
Yeah, I don't use it a lot, but I think it's good that it's there to help like provide a little bit extra explanation for people who don't really understand IPS, as well as people who haven't learned the timings for like PVGC and parries.
Even just looking at the highest combo damage you've done is handy if you're trying to practice a combo and you want to make sure you've actually done the same one that you were practicing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
exactly
for sure.
right. Also, if you're doing combo research and you're actually trying to figure out, like, hey, what stage is this combo? Hey, how much damage does this combo do? Oh, how many combos of this do I need to do to kill the opponent? Like, all that information in conjunction with, like, the setting life bar settings to normal, which will come into later.
You mean alt-tabbing to calculator app?
Ooh.
Or that, if you want to use not Skullgirls. Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone have anything else to say about Advance?
Well, you get frame data from that, don't you?
Frame data is amazing.
Yeah, you
Yes.
get to do stuff.
Keep it always on. Figure out how to use it later.
The only thing about it is that like it doesn't figure it out for like if you call an assist in your block string, it's not always easy to. It's not trivially easy to figure out how plus that is.
I think doing specials by themselves is a bit stuffy as well. Like it
it's
doesn't
mostly
give you-
projectiles.
If it's a projectile, yeah. If it's a projectile. If it's a projectile, what you can do is you can like if it's a special projectile, you can cancel a normal into the projectile, and then it'll tell you how plus it is, as long as you get to the active frames of that normal.
Oh, I just remembered
That's the
another
thing
thing.
that
It
I-
shows you the damage multiplier, so it shows you like first off what damage
damage
multiplier
scale.
you're doing in that team. So if in 2v2 currently, I'm gonna do 1 times the damage, but it's also gonna show me what multiplier I'm doing in the middle of my combo, so I can try to use that to optimize my combo if I were to be in that sort of situation. It's very
And also-
situational when it'll be useful for you, but it's definitely something to keep in mind if you're trying to get better combos in a certain spot. You're like, oh, that's why it's doing less damage because you've used
Yeah.
this hit. That doesn't
And
actually
also,
matter.
it like just pretty much explicitly tells you how damage scaling works in this game if you're not really sure,
Yep.
like
That's what-
why things happen. Like it just tells you, like how certain moves are scaled starters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if it goes by too fast, you can always put it on debug keys and go frame by frame.
Yep. Anything else about what was it we were gonna talk about? Attack data,
Attack. I don't have anything to add.
agency aim.
No.
Just keep it always on.
So yeah,
Yeah.
just keep it always advanced. Just don't like care about it too much unless you.
Yeah, the only reason why you wouldn't have it on advance all the time is for like if you're making a video and you want the presentation.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
that's my approach anyway.
How long do you reckon this podcast is gonna go?
Probably 2 hours. We should probably speed up a little bit. I reckon.
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
this spot.
I reckon.
Okay. So hitboxes off, keep setting it off so you don't see any hitboxes. Simple shows you the basic hitboxes, and you see different blocking states and different sort of stuff. You see red for the hitbox, green for the hurtbox, and different colors for the hurtbox if you're blocking or not. If you put it at advanced, you see the center point and the collision box. The center point is where the game calculates your character to be, and the collision boxes you can't cross collision boxes in the game, so that's something you can't
think they
really
can
go
overlap
past.
slightly though.
Sorry?
I think they can overlap slightly, but they can't like go onto the same place.
I'm trying to overlap them. Oh no, it's happening a little bit. Yeah, you have to if you're walking at them in the corner, then it overlaps a little bit, but generally it doesn't. If you're just standing next to each other, it will push them out. So hitboxes, I usually just keep it off unless I'm looking for a hitbox in particular, because it makes the game look a little bit ugly to me. Plus, I don't want to see the real horrors of a Mike Z fighting game.
Yeah, pretty much.
But other than that, if I'm curious about something, I'll put it on advanced, and especially with debug keys, it's a really good option to see how moves interact in certain situations and stuff like that, which is mainly what I use it for. Do you guys use it for anything?
I have it always on. Again, same reason as advanced attack data.
Okay.
Yeah, I generally have it off because I find it ugly to look at all the time. I'll have it on if I'm looking for a specific interaction, but at this point, because I generally kind of have a feel for most of the hitbox in this game anyway, it's not something that I get that much use out of, but it's extremely valuable that it's there for when you're learning sort of what's disjointed, how far can this move hit, where can I be hit. That sort of thing is always really useful to know, and it's extremely accessible.
Oh, I just noticed for some reason the collision box goes yellow if Beowulf does the punch move. The punch.
Oh, really?
super. Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Huh.
That's the first time I've seen that.
I wonder if... I'm not sure if that's the case.
Is it? Oh, it's because I can pass through the opponent like that. Ah, that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, never mind. That's
But also, hitbox display also shows you where invincibility is, so you can see different kinds of invincibility.
Yes.
You can see hit invincibility is teal. Throw invincibility, I don't have anything throw invincible specifically on my team, but
getting hit is throw invincible.
oh yeah, true. So getting hit is yellowish orange, and full invincibility is white.
Yes. And then you have a bunch of other things like blocking high, blocking low, being projectile invincible is another one.
Yeah.
Another thing that it's good for is when you're explaining absolute guard to people. It provides like a convenient explanation because it's like I forget which one is which.
It's purple if you're blocking the whole way.
high, yeah, I know it's magenta if you're blocking both ways,
Yeah.
but yeah, down back is blue.
Just black. Just
Expanding
back
block
is
cyan.
yeah.
And then, yeah, so you can like demonstrate to people, you turn magenta if you do this, if you switch your guard while push blocking. So
But
you're
yeah.
blocking both ways.
Anything else to mention? Also, I keep it at off. Mao keeps it at off. I guess H keep. H, do you keep it at simple or advanced?
Advanced.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's no point simple if you want to see the hitboxes. Keep it advanced always. Unless the pink dot in the middle, the green dot in the middle scares you for some reason, which is fine.
The dots I actually find helpful because I don't think the cross-up indicator is always reliable, so
Yeah.
I can kind of manually tell.
Yeah, and then you can use that in combination with the debug keys to go, oh, that makes sense. And that's all.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. CM, do you have anything to add? You haven't said anything.
Yeah, I generally have it on unless I'm doing something specifically to train muscle memory, and if I'm doing something specifically to train muscle memory, I turn it off because then I can use the visual cues.
Okay.
Yeah, and the fact that
That's a
you're
good
not
idea.
going to be seeing the hitboxes in the game. So it's sort of training for that situation.
Okay, so that's that for hitboxes. I kind of want to get everything done in like 35 minutes. We're at 20 right now, so let's kind of rush through this. This is going to be basically useless. Hit stun bar.
Yeah, I mean, just keep it on, why not?
Yeah. So hit stun
And
bar,
it's-
it shows you the... Sorry, what?
Shows you links. Hit stun, block stun, shows you how much time you have. It's pretty straightforward, just have it on, why not?
Yeah. I don't mess with it. I when I got the game, I put it on and then saw it was useful and I never turned it off.
Yeah. It's been another thing that I've turned off for presentation, but that's it.
Yeah.
Just always have it on, why not?
I find it useful a little bit to set up frame traps with debug keys, but otherwise it's kind of iffy.
Like,
Yeah. Also, a slightly notable thing is that, like, the color of the bar, it depends on how much hit stun, block stun there is. So that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
good thing.
You can see different colors of the hit stun bar by and see how much hit stun something has.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was ported over from EFZ or something, like as a useful option. And Mike was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah,
So he just
it
put it in. It's never not been useless, but it's never also like been incredibly useful for me.
Yeah, it's not a particularly, like, nuanced option. It's just a thing it does what it's supposed to do, and it's pretty good at that.
Yeah. So anything else to add from anybody?
Nope.
Cool. I guess. The next one is grid. The grid, I keep it off. If you turn it on, you see a bit of a grid that separates the game into different squares. The squares will scale if the camera gets smaller. So I'm just trying to show that right now. So you can use that to. It's basically the Street Fighter 4 training stage, except not a stage. So you can
Even
use
though
it
we
to
actually do have that anyway.
Sorry.
Because the training stage has grid, doesn't it?
I mean, not really. You can basically see bars, but it's not really that.
Yeah.
Wait,
So I use this sometimes to work out jump ranges, or to work out if there's like a max range where you can hit something where that DP doesn't hit you or something.
like I said, it's like good
Maybe.
to show ranges in a very it's in an absolute manner instead of showing it. Oh, it's screenshot in this range. You can't do that or whatever.
Yeah, like what I do is I set up the dummy so the little dot is on an intersection of the grid, and then I just sort of walk back fractions of a square to figure out is there a space that works.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I have it always on because it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
I keep it off because
does
it bothers
bother
me heaps.
Yeah. I pretty much never use this option. It was implemented fairly late, and I don't know. I just never really used it much. I mean, yeah, it is good for like figuring out particular spacings of things, but yeah. It's good if that's what you want.
Yeah, I think it's also like if you want to compare ranges, there's like a more absolute manner of using it as opposed to just kind of putting it on
Yeah.
and then having the camera mess with it or whatever, because that's always a problem.
Yeah. Although I feel like I don't know. A lot of the ranges where I tend to test stuff, it's never really that big of a deal.
Okay. CM, do you have anything to add?
Not really. I haven't really used that training option.
Okay, that's fine. So we scroll past that. We go to show crossups. It's pretty simple. If you turn it on, it will show a crossup. I'll try to do a crossup right now. There you go. If you see a crossup, it's like a yellow set of concentric circles. It's really obnoxious in some screen. It's not actually true in a lot of situations. Because even if you still go past them on block, like a good example is like Pinwheel's death crawl. So if you do a death crawl on block, it will show you as still doing a cross up, even though it's not a cross up. You're just blocking it anyway.
Yeah, I think it's like for that very specific case of I'm facing forward, the person's behind me, and I'm hitting them.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
I have it on, but the only use is to make you feel good because you think you did a mix-up. It doesn't mean you actually did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep it on. It's sort of like, why not?
Yeah. It's never been
Probably
useful.
a bad idea to rely on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't use that to actually see what the cross up is. Always do a cross up on yourself. And
Yeah,
see which one you get.
always make sure, have a dummy do the mix-up on you.
But yeah, that's basically it. Input display. So input display is the first input display point is showing inputs at player 1, player 2, or both, and the input display type is showing an input list. It's showing your inputs in list or stick or both. So your list is the standard training mode, standard fighting game input display. It shows the buttons, shows the directions. It doesn't show a combination of those two, which is kind of annoying, which is why I don't really use that option. But it's it has the standard option. The stick is I guess the Skullgirls specific one. It's a little bit more, where you can see the inputs like how it would be on a fighting game arcade stick. I usually keep it at both, and I keep it on stick. Just because I don't like the list, it's kind of ugly.
Same, it's the same.
But you can also set it to
don't-
both if you want to.
Yeah.
I'll set it to both.
I set it to both. I find the list handy for looking back at inputs to see if they were clean, like if my DPs
That's
are
good.
looking especially dirty.
Mhm.
And I find the stick picture more useful for, especially if I'm doing button combinations.
Yeah.
Like with assist macro plus special inputs.
Well, one thing to note, if you've done like a motion on the stick thingy, the trajectory will like stay for a couple of seconds. So you can see if if you were quick to see your inputs, you can see if your inputs are clean or not. But the list is a little bit easier to read, I suppose.
Yes. I generally keep it on both players on stick. I don't really like the list, especially player 2 list, because it sits at the top of the screen and kind of obscures things.
Yeah, I only have it on player 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, the player 2 list, if you're blocking and like do push blocks or do random things like put Beowulf.
Oh yeah, and then it
Like if
just
you throw
spins
people,
ring.
the input like freaks out and like it tries to mash out or something. It's kind of freaky at times.
Yeah, it's tolerable when you have it on the stick, but
Yeah.
when it's on the list, it's like, whoa, tons of things happen.
So yeah, I guess not really much else to talk about unless you guys have something to add about that.
Yeah.
HCM, anybody?
Nope.
No, just keep going.
Sweet. So health. Health, it's got different settings to it. You have normal, 1 pixel, 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and then infinite. It's basically what it says on the table. It will reset back to however much life you had set it to. So if you want it to be 50%, you can set it to be 50%. And if it's not going to kill or whatever, then it will go back to 50% instead of loading to full 100. If you keep it at infinite, one thing I didn't know about until like a long time, if you put it at infinite, it doesn't, like, double snaps don't kill. It's pretty freaky.
Yeah, it's pretty well. I mean, it makes sense though.
It used to. Oh no! It was something weird about how you can't tell damage or something. Yeah, you can't tell what the actual damage of a combo is if you set it at infinite life. So you
Yeah.
actually can't tell what the damage of your combo is because the game doesn't read it properly.
Yeah,
So
almost always
infinite's
have
really
it.
annoying. I don't use that.
yeah.
I
So
almost always have it at 100% unless I'm doing something really specific exploration-wise,
yeah.
and then I might
okay.
have it really low,
Oh,
so I can do like an instant kill and do an assist kill or something like that.
Yeah, so that's a good one. So normally I pretty much have it at 100%. It can be useful to have it at normal in combination with a save state for if you want to test like reset sequences and how much damage like the sequences overall do. I reckon that's a very useful thing to do for normal.
Yeah.
Infinite I've used before, if you guys remember that time when I was exploring like the last chains, as in like how much meter they built for the opponent and like how much damage they did.
Why would
And,
you just
like,
keep it at
what's
100?
it? Nah, because what I did is I'd have it at infinite, do the combo, and just before the final train, I'd do the save state there, and then I'd put it on 100. And I'd also have meter gain on hold until the very last chain, just so that it's easier to read off. So when I do the final chain, the damage that's on the screen will be the damage of the final chain rather than the
okay.
damage of my combo.
What I end up doing in those situations is I write down the damage that I'm at the
Yeah.
save state, and then I just do the calculator.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is a
the
bit
thing
more
you can
work.
do as well. It's just a little bit more work, so I just prefer to have the game do it for me.
That's fair.
Especially if I'm also doing the meter game, because meter game can get kind of convoluted.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I guess CM, do you have anything to add about that?
Don't think so. Unless like having damage on normal's already been covered, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
using it for reset sequences.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's very good for that.
Okay. So, damn, we should probably be rushing a little bit further. So meter level, you can set it from none to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 max. I usually keep it at 3, so that
Yes.
I can do a level 3 super at any point I want. Or I can keep it at a level 1, or I can still see like meter gain in a certain situation. Alongside that is the meter setting, which is refill, start with, or hold. The refill, it will keep building during a certain situation, like during a combo it will keep building, or during a block string it will keep building. But as soon as you're like done with that particular thingy, you will be like the meter will go back to whatever it was supposed to be. So
Yep.
even if you end up at 4 bars from a particular sequence, you would go back to 3 bars. Or if you had ended up at 2 bars by spinning a super, then you would go back to 3 bars and so on and so forth. Start with is it will start your save state off with 3 bars, or you know how much you want. But then if you like spend it, then it won't come back, which is useful to
Sequences.
useful for like long sequences that are like not full combos, like zoning patterns or anything like that.
Yeah, or even
Hold-
just reset sequences to see how much meter you build, how much meter you deny.
Yeah.
From
Hold is
doing
keeps
stuff
it
on
at sorry.
Nothing.
Okay, hold just keeps it at the exact bar, so you don't build any, or like you build some, but then the game just denies you that build. I don't know if you would want that for, but I don't use it. I just keep it at
Oh,
refill
well,
mostly.
I already mentioned the thing that I used like infinite health for, and then I use hold in that same situation. But other than that, I've never really used hold for anything. It's a thing that you can do.
I think I use hold just to reset it to the number of meters I want to start with. If I want to redo a save state, and then I just go back to start with.
You could use refill for the same thing, probably though.
Yeah. But yeah. So anybody have anything else to add? We should really be rushing past this a lot quicker.
Nope.
Okay. Maybe I should like stop explaining what a lot of these things do unless it's like something really esoteric. People
Yeah.
can look that up.
I mean, the next one, Death Allowed, it's
Pretty straightforward.
It's like
If
can the
you
characters
don't
die?
allow deaths, then their life can go past what do you call it? Past like dying percent. So I can put them at 1 pixel, do a super, and they won't die. Whereas if I put death, why am I explaining this for? Anyhow, it's very obvious.
Yeah. It's obvious. I mean, I pretty much always have it on yes.
Yeah, it's never, it's not really worth not having it on.
Yeah,
it doesn't do
I
anything for you.
don't really get a lot of value out of having it on now. Maybe if you wanted to like combo past death, but that doesn't really happen a lot in this game anyway. So
Yeah. So select button. Select button is kind of important because it's your save state, load state, or your dummy recorder playback, or your both. We don't, and your play. We'll go with select button. I usually just keep it at save or load state unless I want a dummy recording, in which case I go to dummy recording. Or if I want both, both is useful for like, oh, I saved the state and my opponent does something right away. What are my options against that? That's what I use it for.
Yeah.
Playback mode is once, repeat, or as reversal. As reversal is a completely different thing, but playback mode once is what I use most of the time. Because it just plays it back immediately when I want it to.
yes.
And I don't really use repeat for anything.
An important thing with the select button is that if you want to delete your save state, you can use light kick plus heavy kick plus back button.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
true.
That's a good one. That's not obvious to a lot of people, but it's very useful.
Yeah.
If you want to make a
Especially
new
if you're
save
using
state,
debug keys.
make a new dummy recording. Yeah. You can also do it by just holding the button down, but sometimes that's less efficient.
Playback mode as reversal, mostly just for setting up reversal dummy recordings,
Yeah.
and then you can play it back.
Yeah.
The recording number 1, 2, 3, obvious. Sequential or random, again, obvious. It will play 1, 2, 3 in a row, or it'll play all of them at random. I don't usually use sequential for anything. Do you guys use it for anything?
Sequential. I
do,
have a
yeah.
feeling I've used it before, but I can't remember what exactly
Ace,
I
what do you
used
use it for?
When I'm not focusing on like reacting to a random event, just like spreading out what I'm practicing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe.
So you like set up 3
one-
drills and you keep going through those drills or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I don't do that a lot, but I do use it.
Also, one thing I forgot to mention about like meter hold is that like I've used it just for like meme combos with like infinite meter. If you want to do that thing, that's what it's for.
Okay. That's neat.
Yeah.
But okay, so reversal number. Playback side correction. This is for if your dummy recording is set up in a particular way, it will do a DP always facing you. Whereas if you have it not if you set it to playback side correction not set, it will treat the inputs. If you set it on, it will treat it as towards or in a way, but if you turn it off, it will treat it as left or right, which is useful for checking cross-up protection on like cross-up DPs, anything like that.
Yes.
Crosscut DPs, sorry. It will, if you want to have it in a certain situation or not.
I have this always on because I would never trust the correction to be perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I pretty much always have it on. Also, I feel like it's important to iterate like the select button options. Like they are very much your best friend in training mode.
Yeah, you will use them a lot.
Like,
You'll get
you
used to
will
changing them
use
a heap of
this.
times.
Like definitely, if you're gonna learn how to use one thing, the save states and the dummy recordings alone offer like so many possibilities.
Yeah.
It's actually nuts. Like these are your best friends. Learn how to use these things.
I think
Yeah.
that's the main thing we should be talking about once we've
Once you've gone past like the
Go through
basics,
these.
yeah.
Yes, yeah,
So-
for sure.
Yeah, so dummy action, CM, do you have anything to add about anything we've gone over so far?
Nah, all seems good.
Sweet. So dummy action is manual. You can use it to set up a controller 2 in training mode. Crouch, jump, and super jump, and none. These are all pretty obvious. They set them at certain situations.
Yeah, it's a standard and
Standing fighting game stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing too overly complicated. You set it to
mean-
jump if you want to practice jump combos or jump confirms.
Yeah.
Super jump to practice super jump confirms. But yeah, and none to
Yeah.
make them do nothing.
It's-
I never use crouch, but I probably should because it does change some confirms.
Yeah, I set it on
Yeah,
crouch and play
sometimes-
against squiggly so I can see if my stupid overhead gets stuck or not. That's pretty tight.
That's a good thing to use it for.
Yeah.
I generally have it on manual or crouch. I mean, yeah, it's pretty straightforward what all these things do.
Yeah.
I don't think we really need to talk about it.
CPU, you can set it to CPU options if you want to. I don't care about this at all.
Yeah,
I just want to skip it.
I've never used this in my life.
Actually, Age, have you used this for anything?
Mostly fighting around, nothing useful.
Okay, cool. So
You can actually use it to practice hitting combos off like unexpected situations
okay.
Yeah, maybe.
as
Yeah.
like a bridge
Like similar
towards games.
application to like if
Like
how
shadow
we
boxing
use
of
the
sorts.
fighting AI in general. Like you just use it to practice your confirm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. So blocking, which this is something that's kind of important. So blocking
very
is never. You can set the dummy to never block, or block after the first hit, or always block, or block first hit only, or random. Never,
Yes,
basically
all
never
of
blocks. After first hit, I use it if I'm practicing combo, so then I can see if it gets blocked. It's very easy for me to tell if I drop a combo. Always is good for like setting up block strings, or I use it in combination with playback as reversal, so I can set it to, and also push block, which we'll get to a little bit in a little bit. So I set it to always in push block and a dummy recording, so I can check it so the dummy can do PBDCs on me or push block guard cancels on me.
Yes.
First hit only is useful to check block strings, but I feel like that's not really as relevant because you can just tell that from the other
I
ones.
feel like I've gotten very good use out of all of these options.
Yeah, and random blocking is really useful for practicing your hit confirms, which is something we'll go over later. So I don't want to go over it right now.
So, yeah, I guess another thing after first hit, not just for like knowing whether or not the combo worked, but it's useful for like if you have some sort of reset, it's useful to know what the situation is like if they do block the reset.
Yeah.
Sort of like what your options are after that. It's good for that. And first hit only, it's good because it's like a very easy way to tell if something's a block string or not.
Yeah.
Because if they continue blocking, it's a block string. If not, it's not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Block type.
Simple as that.
Oh yeah. Do you guys have the Aid and CM? Do you guys have anything to add about that?
No, keep going.
Sweet.
Well,
Block
if
type
you do
all
want
low.
to-
Sorry.
Yeah, if you do want to like test stuff with fuzzy guards, you do kind of have to have a dummy recording doing the fuzzy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't always rely on blocking being accurate in those cases. And
Yeah.
like some of the more fringe cases.
Block type all low or high. You can use it to like if you set it to after first hit and then block type high, you can set it to like you can do like low only resets and then see if you want to do that, or high only resets or anything like that. If you want to do that, I don't.
It's standard fighting game stuff,
Yeah.
and also just to see the move properties if you don't know what they are.
Oh yeah, that also helps. Actually, let me see if this helps.
Because sometimes things are mids where you think they'd be highs, sometimes
Yeah.
things yeah.
One thing that's pretty funny, you can set to blocking. You can set the dummy to crouch, and then blocking always and block high, and they'll like get hit by lows while crouching and show that it's blocking high. It's pretty funny, but not really
Yes.
that relevant. Push block
Yeah, it's
after. This is really important because this will like, carry you far. So push block after, you can set it to never, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, blah blah blah, up to 10th hit, which is I thought it was 9, but I guess 10 now. I usually keep it on the second hit, and I set it to push block always.
Yes, exactly the same.
Like mostly a lot of the time, because most people will react to 2 hits of push block, and then they will push block it. I can set it to setting it to once. I don't actually know what it does. Let me see what it does.
For first hit.
Yeah.
Because you can push block same frame as you get. So there's basically 2 windows to push block when you get hit by an attack. When you block an attack, you can like push block same frame as it connects. And
No,
you
it
can
doesn't
also,
delay a push block. It's like once or always. I don't know what the always is about.
No, because I'm pretty sure if you do push block first hit and have them block, it does the same frame push block.
Oh yeah. But first hit,
Oh
yeah.
wait,
yeah.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't actually. So so you can either push block then, or you can push block. If you try to push block any later than that, the push block will happen after the hit stop ends.
Okay.
So that's the thing.
Okay. Push block. I set it to always. It's useful to set it to random so you can practice especially in conjunction with the random blocking button, the random blocking setting. You can use it to set it to random push blocks, so you can use it to better your offense and reacting to push blocks and not push blocks.
Yes.
Stuff like that. Unless you guys have anything else to add about that. I can't tell any difference between
it's
once and
useful
always push block.
for offense, for constructing pressure based around push blocks. Also very useful to combine with the reversal dummy playback options, so that you can simulate someone trying to PBG through your pressure.
Yeah. Agency and anything else?
Nah.
No, sounds good.
Sweet. The next option is parry big band. This will only work if you have big band as one of the dummies. It will, and I can just show that right now. Let me just set it to big band, and big band comes in, and also one thing to mention is that if you hit the start button, it will go back to your pause option. Whereas if you like go back and back, then it won't. That's useful. No other fighting game really does that. It's pretty cool. Parry big band, you can set it to first hit or after first hit. You have to have the blocking off though, but let me set it to always. He will keep parrying. You know, so he keeps parrying. Hey, that's pretty cool. It's useful to like think of yourself as a cool guy, I guess. But yeah, for parry random, again, useful to react to parries and then canceling. But nobody's at that level yet, so it doesn't really matter anyway. Unless you guys have anything to add about that. You can also set it to after first hit. So if you set it to push block, let me see, blocking always. It's not happening. Okay, so it's not. Wait, did I set the parry right? After first hit, always no.
Maybe that doesn't apply to like block. It's just
Yeah, it doesn't seem to work
stuff.
with big band parry, so you can't set the computer to PBGC parry. But that's not that relevant anyway.
Yeah, I don't really use that training option anyway.
Yeah. Agency M?
It does what it says on the tin.
Yeah. No? Okay, sweet. Throw tech. This is a little bit more useful. It's kind of the same thing as a push block. So you can set it to throw tech, never, always, after first hit, random. The never part is useful if you don't want your computer to ever tech your throws. The always is useful to always tech throws, so you can immediately test a throw plus assist setup. The after first hit is useful, so you can start your combo off a throw, and then go into your reset, and then you can go, oh yeah, now what happens if they tech the throw, and then you can check that off that. Useful for certain characters who have to like set up their throws in a specific way, but so yeah. And random is random throw techs. You can use it to like mix again, get better at reacting on your offense to see if you get throw techs or whatnot.
Yeah. It's another thing that kind of just does what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
It might be kind of nice if there was a way to like delay the throw tech so that you can test certain like throw plus assist setups. But I don't know, it's no big deal.
Yeah. So ground tech will be defaulted to backward, I believe. But you can set it to backward,
actually,
forward,
I
or
think
random.
it might even be off by default.
No, it's not. It's specifically not.
Okay, because I thought that was a thing that often happened with like newcomers.
No, they
How they
turned it
take
off.
the
No, that's the thing. That's why I always Mike always
Oh,
had
but
that
it
on.
changed. Yeah, it changed.
Yeah.
It
You don't take
used to be-
backward, forward, or random. The backward or forward sometimes will like work in a really weird way, and it checks backward or forward depending on which way your character is facing. So it'll not always be specifically like or super accurate. So you can just change the setting if you want to check a specific tech chase setup. But then random ground tech is good for practicing your tech chases in a certain knockdown that you've set up. It's good for like Beowulf and stuff. So
Yes.
I don't use it for anybody else other than Beowulf because I don't ground tech chase with anybody.
It's another thing that does what it says on the tin.
Yeah. Again, if you guys have anything to add.
I mean, yeah, it's like good for tech chases, and yeah, if you want to test that stuff and to have it on to make sure that you're not practicing blue beat combo.
Yeah.
There is a thing with doing burst baits that are ground techable. Don't rely on the dummy acting as though a player would.
True. Yeah.
Okay,
Which is
that's
something.
good to
It's a
know.
nice segue because we're just going into escape infinite combos. Infinite combos escape. You can set it to never till the 10th hit or random. I usually keep it on the first hit. I used to keep it on the second hit, but now I just keep it on the first hit because I can't be bothered. And then escape delay frames, which is something that's really cool. You can set it to delay
Yeah, it's
the
pretty
burst
neat.
as much as you would want it to. These like in combination with one another are really good for testing tech chase setup, not tech burst baits, and also
Yes.
properties of different burst baits that are sometimes unreliable because of the computer. I think they fixed that though. Let me just see that real quick.
It's like it's good. The But yeah, so escaping, like what hit it's gonna escape, that's pretty straightforward. The delay thing is also really useful because sometimes you'll like find a burst bait where it's like if they burst immediately they'll like get baited, but not like people don't do that. They're not just mashing. Like they at least have to see the IPS get triggered before they even think about bursting.
Yeah. Also, Age, I just checked that real quick.
Sometimes if they delay it, like the burst bait won't work. Like you'll get hit by the burst or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's good for.
Age, I just checked that. If you do like a burst bait combo, like with the ground techs and stuff, it will not tech the. It will still tech if it's possible to tech it, even if it's burstable. Which was something that was an issue for a long time, and I'm happy that they fixed it now. But yeah, escape delay frames again. It will delay the.
Yeah, I normally keep it on 0. I don't really get a lot of use out of it, but it's a thing that's there if I ever wanted to use it.
Yeah.
There are like burst beds where you're close enough to them if they mash it, and then it's
gonna like if it's delayed then it'll work. If it's immediate then it won't. Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's useful for those.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's basically escape infinite combos. Unless CM has anything to add. I'm guessing not really.
No.
Sweet. So stagger recovery, just always keep it on. I'm not even gonna bother.
Always keep it on. Just yeah.
Yeah. Force counter
You
hit.
can do like
make
hitbox
sure
combos.
Combos are actually combos.
Yeah.
And completely inescapable.
Yeah. Because somebody will come along and mash like a TAS and your combo will not work and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, like with L-Bang to JMK stuff and
yeah. Keeps the link tight. Also for Cerebella Pummel Horse stuff. Always keep it on anyway.
Yes.
Force counter hit, it's kind of obvious. It puts the counter hit on the first hit only, always after first hit random. I either put it on like first hit only or I put it at never because I know when I'm gonna get a counter hit. It's useful to put it on after first hit so you can see if they were mashing out of your mix up, if you get anything better, as like if you get like a better combo.
Okay, so a few things that it's useful for. So first hit only is really good if you wanna like see what you can get out of a set play sequence from a counter hit starter, because you're gonna have more undizzy to work with. So you're gonna be able to do different sequences. So and having it on first hit instead of always means that it's like it's gonna be more reliable because generally only that first hit is gonna be the counter hit.
Yeah.
Unless they continue to mash.
Yep.
In which case you probably don't need this to learn how to beat them anyway.
Yeah. So, force counter hit random can be useful if you're just looking for like, if you're looking for like quick set play that like, and you're trying to like learn how to confirm that it's a counter hit in like a pressure situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to confirm the counter hit, and you don't really need to do any different starters.
Depends on the character. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Or like
Because
sometimes if you're using like
stun
a
or
first
anything,
option.
it's just if you want to optimize the combo a little bit differently. Yeah.
Anything like that. It can be
But
useful for
it's
certain things, but
range.
it's not extremely so. So drama, aka Undizzy, is very useful. You can set it to a certain level, so you can just start at that level of Undizzy and then see what combo you get. It's really useful to if you're testing like set play and you go, oh, after this I end up at this much Undizzy, so what do I do after that? You can set it to any percent between 10 to 100, like in increments of 10, so you can go normal, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Different amounts of Undizzy can be used for different things if you want to. Full Undizzy is good for checking full Undizzy setups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think having options for full Undizzy and having a plan for it is pretty important these days.
Yeah. I also think that even if it's not a priority, like setting it at different increments of Undizzy and seeing how much damage you can squeeze is good for like building your intuition as in how your character's combos work.
Yeah.
And because you're often not gonna be starting at the same sort of like Undizzies. You'll often have to get a confirm, look at the Undizzy and try and estimate like what route you should go for based on that.
Yeah. It's just something you can build up like as your play, but it's useful to just do this in training mode and be just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Or like find out what's actually optimal in a certain situation, stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the last option we have here, unless people have anything else to talk about with drama, is skip super flashes, and I never do this on. Because it's just not worth it.
Yeah, I don't have it on either. Some things it can be useful for if you if you live in a place where like internet is kind of bad, not naming any names, but you can use it to make your video files smaller. So that you can upload it easier. Because it's like the super flashes, they don't carry like vital information a lot of the time.
The only thing that's actually useful for is to see for hit stop how fast the super would be without the super flash, to see if you can react to it or whatever.
It doesn't really have much of a purpose. It was just kind of a thing that Mike put in for like the people who were complaining about hit stop. And be like, look, this is what it would be like.
But yeah.
It doesn't seem to serve much practical purpose. It can be fun to mess around with though.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything to add about drama agency? I might kind of just glossed over that.
No, I think you covered it.
Sweet. So we're pretty much done with the options. So now we can get to the actually really useful stuff. Is at what level of skill what you should be using training mode for. And let me just go back to our save state, and we're here. So I have a little bit of thinking about this. So this is basically like it ties into what stuff you should have down as a new player, as a medium level player, as a good player. And if you're a new player, you should always just work on your basic B&B, starting off with crouch leg kick.
Yes.
If you don't know your combo, you can look at the game resources that we have in our Skullgirls Oceania Discord, if you're in the Oceania Discord. And if you're not in the Oceania Discord, you can find a bunch of other, what do you call it? Resources for your combos. Always make sure that you can do your combos at every time. And once you get better at just doing your basic B&B, you can learn like what your grab combo should be. Depending on the character, it'll be really similar route or a completely different route. And with I have Beowulf and Big Ben in my team right now, which makes it so that it's pretty easy for me to just go, oh yeah, that's what I should be doing off my throw, stuff like that. So that's basically like just knowing your combos, knowing your blocks, and like learning how to hit confirm is something that's extremely useful to have at a low level. So if you're a new player, first of all, don't really change much else about the system. Like, set the attack data to advanced, set the hit stun bar to on, because why not? Show crossups on, that's fine. Both input stick or input list if you want to. Health 100, meter level probably 3. I think it's at max when the game comes out, so just put it at 3.
Yeah, so I'd recommend against having it on max, just so that you can see the meter build for both yourself and the opponent.
Yeah.
Because that's a thing in this game, like some of the extended combos build a bunch of meters for the opponent. So it's good to be aware of those things.
Yeah, also set button, save state, load state, because you'll be using that a lot when you drop your combos and want to go back to your low, your starter. Dummy action crouch, I just have it at crouch most of the time. I would recommend having that as a new player because you might get used to some confirms that only work on standing characters, though I can't think of many examples currently. Also, and set it to blocking either after first, also block type to all, and after blocking, or either blocking after first hit or blocking random if you want to practice a hit confirms, which is again something that's really useful. So those are the two things. Those are at least the two things that I recommend having extremely down as a new player: is learning how to do your combos and learning how to hit confirm your hit confirm into your combos.
Okay, one thing I will say though is that like I feel like a lot of new players kind of put a lot of emphasis on combos and they kind of go too hard on that aspect. I think the most important thing to get down is how do you lead your hits into a lot of advantage. So basically having like 1 or 2 resets is
yeah. Like when you're learning your combos, learn the reset as well.
Yeah.
Even before you learn resets, like as you're learning your basic combo, like even before all that, you learn your hit confirm. And that's why having the training dummy on random block is super important.
Yeah, that's also an important thing.
Yeah,
to be able
because
to
you don't want to be like, oh, I'm just gonna fucking do my full chain. Just do the full chain into my heavy, and then my heavy is super minus. You don't want that look. You want
unless you play certain characters.
I do that with all characters.
Yeah. I don't think you ever want to do it really.
I mean, I don't know how much to tell you not to do that, but I guess if it keeps winning you games, then you'll keep doing it, I guess. Anyhow.
Yeah. It's like with Philia especially, if you know how to hit confirm crouch and like extending.
Oh yes, definitely. Philia, it's very important. Hit confirming.
Or even
Some
like
characters can sort of get away a bit more with not being as on point on that, but yeah.
I don't
that's
think so. I think even characters that can't really do that, you should practice stuff like
Yeah,
with
because-
Peacock, you're doing jab jab hit confirms. Like
I'm
jab
not
jab.
talking
Oh,
about
well, I'm gonna talk a bit about Peacock because I mentioned Peacock.
Okay.
If that's all right.
Yeah, that's
If I can use examples. Like if you use like jab jab, it's like, oh, they blocked. I'm plus. Cool. You didn't go into the rest of your normals. And if it hits, oh, they got a hit. I have a billion years to confirm it. Cool. Like, even if it's Philly, even if it's Peacock, every single character, if you know how to, if you drill it into your muscle memory to confirm, you will, like, at best, be plus on block all the time, and be confirming every single hit into a combo all the time, which is fantastic.
indeed.
With those jab hit confirms as well, usually it is to do with delaying it slightly, which gives you
Yeah.
more time to actually recognize whether it's hit. So it's good to go into practice mode and figure out when does this stop being a block stream? Like how much delay can I put on it?
Yeah.
Or when does it stop comboing before the confirm?
Yeah. But all of this discussion sort of falls into one of those three topics that CM was talking about earlier. I sort of had a similar idea, dividing it into three, which is like you're refining something you already know is a good thing in the game. You're refining your hit confirms or your resets or your combos, stuff that you can potentially look up online, and you're using training mode hopefully in an efficient way to improve that muscle memory quickly. And one of the ways that I was trying to help Cobalt a while ago was figuring out what Philia can do as a dummy setup with specific options to practice like IAD timing or low hit confirms, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Instead of just telling a new player, go in there and practice it, if they have like a really specific recipe to follow where it's going to efficiently do that task, then I think that's better.
Yeah, totally. Oh, another thing I forgot is practice your combo in different weights. So, one thing I recommend doing if you're a new player is have this is not like specifically training mode, but like you have the two macros and the up and down directions. In total, give you 6 macros or like 16 macros. So you can do up and macro 1, neutral macro 1, down macro 1, and so on and so forth for your 6 teams. And I would recommend having at least one of those teams be a team of Squiggly, Cerebella, Big Band, just so you can see that your combo is working on every character. If you're like learning something new or just learning a basic B&B, that you can do it on every character. So if I was playing Beowulf Big Band, I would then like have a separate team of Squiggly, Cerebella, and Big Band. The assists don't matter, obviously. And then you just go into training mode and practice your combo so that it works on all 3 characters. That's something useful to have, because otherwise you'll be like, oh, my combo jumped against blah blah character, and then you get mad over it because you lose a tournament match. It's really annoying.
Yeah, I feel it.
I wouldn't know.
My
anything
current
about it.
practice regime, basically, it follows on from doing the combo research and actually checking it on each character. But what I do now is I random select 3 characters. I kill those 3 characters with the combos I want to practice, and then that's my practice done. And then the next time I'm doing 3 random other characters.
Yeah, that's a good idea as well. I mainly set Squiggly, Cerebella, Big Band because those are the problematic hitboxes that a lot of characters, certain things will like drop on.
Yeah.
Like something
say also
like things are more prone to drop on Squiggly, Cerebella, and Big Band than they are on most of the characters. With like obviously certain exceptions in certain combos and whatnot. But yeah, I think
Surprisingly, my combo is most difficult on Philia,
that's
which
weird.
is really bizarre.
Yeah.
Normally, Philly is like pretty standard hitbox for me. But
I
yeah,
think my
that's
combos are like, my Philia combo is actually hardest on Beowulf and Double, of all things. The jumping heavy kick, air dash, jumping like a heavy punch combo. That's like harder on Beowulf and Double. And my Robo combo is hard on Double as well. So you'll find different characters that like trick you in different ways depending on what character you play. and so it's useful to practice your combos against those characters specifically, but also practice against all of the characters you'll be playing locally quite frequently. So almost always recommend having a big band on that team that you can practice your combos against, and stuff like that. Another thing I kind of forgot to mention is you can use your training mode to and this is not something that's specifically for a new player, but use training mode to recognize the ranges of your things. You're not going to be able to do that in actual games very often, but learning the specific spacing for a lot of different things is just a really good fighting game skill to have.
I am not exaggerating when I say 50% of my training mode time in vanilla was dash jumping medium punch with Cerebella.
Yeah.
That was literally all I did. I would do max range, I would do really ambiguous cross-up range, and I would just get a feel for when am I in that range, and what timing on the dashes do I have to do.
Yeah, that's a good point to mention. Always learn what this if I'm a Robo Fortune player, I kind of want to recognize what the range of my opponent's dash jump option is and stay outside of that range so I can beam very safely and stuff like that. That's something to mention for maybe not necessarily new players, a little bit more medium level players, but still useful. It's a really good skill to build up is in training mode, recognizing the range of things. But that's something you'll get used to the more you play anyway.
Yeah, it's good when you're just starting out and you want to get used to the options.
Yeah.
And even if you're going further in, you figure out, oh wait, I can use this option in this crazy way, or this really cool, stable way that I didn't think of before. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. You can, if you're having trouble learning how to dash jump, you can use it to set up how to learn dash jumping. If you're playing Philly, you don't really know how to wave dash, as I clearly don't, because I've messed it up 5 times now. You can use it to learn how to wave dash and stuff like that. You always use it to also, another thing is practicing your basics is never, you can never practice your basics too much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So stuff
Do you
like
have
that.
do you have thoughts on a basic practice regime, Sam?
Basic practice regime, well, it depends how much time you have and what character you're using, etc. But generally, you always want to be practicing your hit confirm, because you never want to be in a situation where you're stressed out in a high stakes match and you drop your combo, or you don't confirm your combo. That's the number one thing. If your hit confirm is on point, that's so many matches are gonna be won, or so many matches are gonna be lost on just whoops, I didn't confirm that combo. Just watch anyone dropping spaghetti and they will have dropped a game-winning combo, or not confirmed a game-winning combo. So I would say just, if the only thing you can practice, for a practice regime, it would be that. For any high execution things a character has, I'd practice those as well. Doing full combos as well. If there's a combo that you haven't memorized that isn't in your muscle memory, you can stick that in your practice regime. Generally, if you're practicing something that takes a lot of execution, I wouldn't say on the first day that you're doing it, try to do it 10 times in a row. Yeah, it's nah, just try to do it once that first day, and then okay, do it the next day. Can you do it once really easily? No. If no, just do it once. But if yes, then try for it twice. Then on the third day, you try for it twice. If that's really easy, then you go 3 times, etc. And surprisingly enough, going at it stupidly slowly is the most consistent way to get extremely fast results.
Yeah.
I remember I was practicing plink dashing in Marvel 3, and that only took me a week to get down, and the first few days was can I do it 5 times in a row? Yes, I've done it. Cool, time to go to bed now. And then eventually I could just go and just keep doing it.
Yeah, one thing is never to do, it's always good to do 5 10-minute sessions than it is to do 1 50-minute session.
Yeah.
Because first of all, you burn yourself out if you do it too much, because you'll get frustrated because you can't do it. But second of all, it's also good to build up your muscle memory over repeated practices as opposed to just trying to do it once and then not getting it.
Yeah, exactly. It's
I
the
think-
repeated over multiple days that definitely gets the most results.
Yeah.
One of the big points in there, I think I agree with, is actually the victory condition. Rather than just, I want to practice this and then keep doing it until you get frustrated. If you've got a win condition of, I did this 5 times in a row, heck yes, I think that really helps.
It does.
Also, another thing, doing it before you go to bed is very powerful.
Yes.
It's very good for building muscle memory. It's kind of like a life hack sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And more specifically, when you're saying practice a hit confirm, do you have like a way that you would do that in Skullgirls?
Well, I would set the dummy on a random block. Then, basically, the way that I would practice a hit confirm is that, well, have it set up as a goal, but it would be like, my goal would be confirm into the full combo 5 times with in a row, like without going further past my confirm than necessary on block, and without dropping the combo on hit. So it's like you just keep doing it. You don't count the amount of times the opponent blocked. It's just whenever you like autopilot into your full thing on block, then I reset the counter and I start again. And on hit, it's like, cool, I crossed 1 off of my 1 out of 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's like a what do you call it? A spin-off of that is every time you drop a hit confirm, you do 5 push-ups or whatever. If you want to do anything like that, which is something I've heard a lot of people say. I don't really care. Like that's not. I used to use that when I used to work out a lot, but now I don't really care to do that. But if that's something that you're like, oh, I just want to work out, but that's that's something to also do, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically for like newer players what you should be practicing. First of all, know your basic combos. Make sure you can do it on everybody. Learn your basic hit confirms. Learn the basic spacing of a lot of your approach options, so that you're not necessarily like that. You should memorize it as a new player specifically, but the fact that you have a basic understanding of it would be useful. As an intermediate player, I guess you just kind of build upon that concept, right? Like learn advanced spacing, learn what your opponent's spacing is, learn like how disjoint and stuff like that would affect like move versus move interaction, stuff like that. Also learn happy birthdays and assist kills, like your happy birthday combos, your double snap combos. Assist kills I guess can come later, but having a knowledge of them would be good as well. Basically just building upon the situational confirms and situational knowledge you'll have in a particular spot. And this is not even going over like how you would use what do you call it? How to use like dummy recordings to set up how to actually deal with things. Which is something like, I think that's a specific topic in of itself.
Well, I think one of the things I did when I was figuring out filia drills was I would set up dummy recordings that had a reversal up back or a reversal neutral jump, and then it would change block to something else.
Yeah.
And that would be useful for figuring out if you were giving them time to jump out of your low mix-up after a IAD. So that like you can set it up so that you've got the dummy recording either trying to jump out of your low or trying to crouch block, and then you can make sure that you're timing it so that you're catching them.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Like when you're trying to do resets, make sure that your resets are actually like real and they don't lose to up forward. Hee hee haha. But yeah, that's
So you're talking about using dummy recordings to figure out answers to different situations. How would your process go if you've been hit by something you weren't quite sure how to deal with? What do you do in training mode?
I used to do that for resets, but I didn't understand what a reset was. I haven't done that because I can just look at a reset and go, oh, that's why it happened that way. Except for the risky, stupid reset, I can never tell if that's a cross-up or not. And I guess that's something I should take training mode. But basically, like, if say like I say I have a trouble with like how to deal with beat extend, right? When I looked at how to deal with beat extend when I was really new, I set my save state to be at a certain spacing, which will happen quite often, and then I kind of just I wrote down what situations that beat extend was prevalent in, like if at this spot, what if they up back beat extend? What are my options there? And I would set the dummy to dummy chord, and then play back beat extend, like hold up back and hit beat extend button. I messed up. There we go. So they're up backing and beat extending, and then I set it to select button both, and now they're gonna up back beat extend right away, right? So I go, okay, what are some of the things I can do against the beat extend like that? What can I do? Can I reversal, like, can I react with something? Can I predict it with something? Can I use anything that'll be a good reaction? Or like how viable something is, anything like that. In like a neutral situation. Whereas if they upward beat extended, then I went, okay, if they're jumping at me and calling beat extend, what are my options there? What different things I can do? All that sort of stuff.
Do you have like go-to options that you try first, or is it just literally I'm going to try every single button?
I mean, I guess now I've built up more of an intuition on things, so I don't do that. But like, I guess it like depends. Okay, so let's say like Valentine's jumping, and then now it's like a jumping heavy punch. Let me say it like that. Because that's a situation that happened quite a bit when I played this game a bunch. So I'd set the Valentine to do this. It's not very good actually. Let me actually record this. So like something like that, right? I would get the dummy to like super jump back, up back, air dash, and then come down with a heavy punch or something like that. And then with Philly, okay, what are my options against this thing? What can I do? Can I standing heavy punch it? Like, can I like if you look at like, oh, the opponent's coming down. I used my like 2D fighting like 2D fighting intuition to go. Should I air to air it from the anti-air it from the ground? Should I air to air it? Should I chicken block it because chicken blocking is really good in Skullgirls? And like those three things, and I try to see what my success rate would be against those, depending on different timings and different spacings. So like in Bale, for example, it's really easy. If he's coming down with the button, I can just heavenly it every time, and that's a reaction. That's like a completely raw reaction that I can do. And once I would recognize that that's the thing, I can practice my heavenly combos, and so I know how to actually combo off that consistently. If I wanted to practice like a air to air, I'd see that, okay, what buttons work, what jump arcs they work at, do I need a super jump to combo off it, do I need an assist to combo off it, stuff like that. Jumping heavy punch in this situation is not very good. Valentine jumping heavy, like Bill jumping heavy punch in the air there is not very good in this spot, but it can be because if you want to use your disjoint, so it'll be useful there.
I think it's pretty important to, once you've figured out that option, actually find out how to get damage off it. Like, that's something I don't tend to do. I tend to go, oh yeah, this will answer my problem, and then in game I do it and then go, oh shit, what do I do now?
Yeah, you definitely need to figure out the combo as you figure out the option.
Yeah, like once I went like, oh, I can just heavenly this. I mean, heavenly is kind of a bad example, but like other characters have like say like Big Man would be a good example of this. So like I set it to Big Band, right? As Big Band, what options do I have? I have like, I can just wait and I can check and block it and up back it and I'll be okay. Or I can parry it, right? But then parrying is like, okay, what if they didn't do a button? Or what if they did a button at different timings? What parry timing can I do that will catch a button coming down over here? And once I do that, can I react with it, or do I just follow, like put the beat extend in every time? So that would be something that I would practice there. Like once I learned the parry timing, I can set the dummy to, in the 3 recordings, where's the dummy recording? I can set it to recording 1, doing it at one timing, recording 2, doing it at a later timing, or recording 3, not doing the button at all. And then once those recordings have been recorded, I set it to random and then select button both. and then I would get the dummy to do that thing to me, and if I can react with that in time, then I'll react with it and get the combo off that. And also, once I get the combo, I try to finish it, obviously. So that's kind of a long spiel. I don't know how much sense that made.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's a very good way to sort of go beyond that first level of I've learned the basics, but I want to get better at a matchup.
Yeah. So once I go, oh, okay, I can get this parry, I went, okay, what can I actually do that's a punish off that parry? So I can see that if I do crushing leg kick, that's not a punish on the parry. But if I did standing jab or anything, it's still not a complete punish. But if I did SSJ, that's a guaranteed punish that they can't. Wait, is it? You know, like, actually, let me see. I'm curious. I can't get it to be a punish. That's weird. Oh, that was a punish. That's a counter hit. Okay, my bad. But anyhow, it's not really that relevant. Like this is just one example of how I would take a particular situation and try to work around it. Or like when I was learning Robo Fortune, for example, I would set my I can just go to Robo Fortune right now. I would set my I would be my team, and then I can set my opponent, my dummy team to be whatever opponent I'm going to be playing a lot. In this case, Jedi, because that's kind of why I learned the character, right? So I would set like a certain spacing, and then I would go, okay, if I beam him, what are his options? Can he? And I would set it to like training options and select button just to save state, not to both, and then set the playback mode to as reversal. And then I can set whatever recording I want. Do I want him to up forward? Do I want him to sync plus beat extend? All those sort of different things, and see what I can do and what options they cover. So if I set it to like reaction up forward, so if he gets hit by a beam, right? I can then set it to that and then that. And if I see what happens if he gets hit by a beam and then holds up forward, my light beam won't cover it. My light beam, medium beam won't cover it. But if I delay it, then I will. And then or like if he jumps, then double jumps out of it, then he can do that. Super jump doesn't work in that situation, I do believe, unless they fix that. Let's see. This will be good.
Are there any other kind of archetypal ways to use training mode? Like the main one I'm thinking of is figuring out new tech or like understanding a new game. But are there any I'm not remembering?
Those are the two that I would spend like when I get a new game, I mess around with the training mode to see what options I can use training mode for, and then I kind of see what the different system mechanics are and how I can interact with them. That's kind of what training mode takes up a lot of time for me as well. I guess we can go into our own practice routines as well at some point, but I'm not sure if you want to bring that up right now or if you want to bring that up later.
I have literally no practice routine, and I haven't for a long time.
I mean, I don't have one either, but I would like to have one.
So yeah, when you were like going hard at it, did you have a specific setup on your practice regime, or was it like individual focuses at different times?
It was a lot of individual focuses at different times. Like I never got around to like planning out a whole thing. At most, whenever I planned out a thing was because I played like multiple games, and it was like, all right, I'm gonna practice these combos from these starters so that I don't drop them, and practice these confirms, and then just do that a bunch of times for each game. Spend about 15 minutes on each game, and then you got it. But for some confirms that were like fucking hard, I actually remember like spending I remember like when I was playing KOF 13 and I was grinding out HD combo confirms, I would actually, because they were such a fucking bitch and you just need to keep doing them all the time, I just put on a lot of South Park and I just did the confirms over and over.
Yeah. Just keep grinding the combo out until you can get it every single time.
Yeah. Same thing with like fucked up setups. You just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Even though that contradicts the do the hard thing a few times, but if you have like a couple hours to kill and you don't really want to do anything and you just want to turn your brain off and like watch something stupid like South Park, then just that's a decent training thing.
Yeah, or listen to some podcast or whatever you want to.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I'm kind of wishing I had was a more systemized approach to improving. Like, whenever I have an individual focus, I have this niggling voice in the back of my head going, hang on a minute, is this even the most efficient way to improve?
Yeah, generally the way that I solved that issue was that I did a lot of research beforehand to figure out what I should improve at first.
Yeah.
Which is why I put in so much lab time and research time, right? Instead of just like practice time. Even though practice time is crucial because you need that in order to have the muscle memory, and you should never underestimate muscle memory. But being able to research what you should grind the muscle memory for is still also like, that's really powerful because it'll prevent you from wasting time.
You can also go too far the other way though, because
Yes.
if you're like me, you go, I want a better way to improve, so I'll look for more options. But I found a new option, but I'm still not sure, so I'll keep looking for new options, and I never get around to practicing the muscle memory.
Yeah.
I think that just kind of goes back to talking about what you've kind of found and trying to talk to other players about how that could be good. You know what I mean? Like, when I would think about like, hey CM, I think I'm getting screwed by this. Do you reckon this would be a good option? And then he'd tell me, oh no, this might be alright, or you can try this to this or this. And I'd go, okay, this makes sense for me. This doesn't make that much sense, but I can look at it later, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The talking over your options that you found with other people is also really useful.
Yeah.
I guess if you want to turn this into like a general improvement thingy, the way I've kind of like I improved using training mode was I watched my matches when I got hit by something, and I went, is this a thing that I don't know how to deal with? If it is something that I know how to deal with, I'll just like, that's something mental that I have an issue with, and I can fix it by playing more games. But if it's something that I don't understand mechanically, which was something that happened to me a lot as I was getting better at the game, then I would take it to training mode and I'd be like, okay, what actually happens over here, and stuff like that. Whereas, like, at this moment, I don't really have much that I lose to mechanically. I kind of just lose like strategically, or if I like make some stupid error, and then I go, okay, I just need to fix that error. But if you're like a new person, you might not recognize all the factors that go into a certain spot. So trying to research by yourself or asking other people can be really useful for that.
Definitely knowing the difference between like getting like outguessied compared to something more fundamental that you need to address is a pretty important thing to be able to know how to distinguish when you're going over your own matches.
Can we like have on the screen all the Reddit posts about being 100%ed by infinite combos?
No, it's too much effort. Plus, I don't want to.
Yeah, it's that.
But you're
pretty
right.
much that idea. Yeah.
But yeah, general improvement. That's kind of how improvement was for me, and that's why training mode played such a big part. Is because whenever I struggled with something mechanically, or like didn't have an option against a certain situation, or like a certain thing that they did, I kind of just put it into training mode and went, what are all the different things I can do against a certain thing? Like, any invincible options that I can just do to blow through something? Can I use any defensive options that I have to make it better for me? Or is there something I should be doing more preemptively or proactively? Anything like that.
So like, if you run into a situation where you just don't have an answer or you can't figure out an answer, what do you do from there? Like, do you just go, I can't be in that situation, how do I avoid it?
I just ask other people if they have something that I'm forgetting. Like, if it was like, hey Mal, that zoning pattern's real cheap, what do you do? And he'd be like, oh yeah, this probably has a gap over here somewhere, and I go, oh yeah, that's true. Or if I ask Jedi something, he goes, just do it. And then I want to punch Jedi in the mouth, and then I try to figure it out myself.
The thing that I've used dummy recording is
You're
because you
breaking
can
up.
have it you have it set on repeat. You have them do autopilot zoning pattern.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty useful thing for if you want to practice that matchup.
Yeah, any like situation that you're getting screwed by, like in neutral, by them just doing something repeatedly, you can put it in training mode and see what different options you have against it.
Speaking of zoning, do you have like practice regimes for locking people down when they're using different movement options, or is it just like intuition from game experience?
With oh, sorry.
It's intuition. For me personally, there sometimes just like just doing strings.
Yeah.
Just to build the execution. Sometimes what I have done in the past is I've had the dummy set to like reversal dash jump or something like that, just to see how long I can keep them pinned down by like staggering my projectiles appropriately.
Yeah, with Robo it's a completely different thing because you can't really like zoning pattern people per se. So a lot of my zoning learning was like more intuition than anything. It's like not good though, because there's definitely things that I'm lacking mechanically with Robo, but I don't care to learn it because I'm retired. Hee hee haha. But like if I was still like learning Robo, things I would be looking for are how can I improve my laser, my light lasers, and how can I improve my jumping heavy punch spacings, and what can I do once it hits or once it gets blocked. So that's learning them mechanically would be useful for me. But most of that otherwise is like completely intuition. I go, I've light lasered somebody, oh then now they're gonna dash jump at me. So and then I kind of looked at what are the different ways I can cover that. Like that's also one thing that we didn't really touch on in trying to figure out answers is try to find different answers that cover different levels of hard read, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So like once you've found that okay, in this spot if they do X, Y, or Z, in Skullgirls you generally have like 2 or 3 counters, but then the counters vary by how much commitment they require and or if they require a resource.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind as well. If you're trying to find answers to situations, don't just look at one thing and go, I'm done with this, that my homework is complete. Like that's almost always never going to be enough. You need to understand at least 2 or 3 options that you can do in a particular situation, and depending on how much resources you have or how big of a read you want to make, you can use those different things.
In game you'll be content with like letting it happen as long as you can stay safe and avoid it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just want to be like, I 100% know. So I'm just gonna get the hit, get the damage right now.
Yeah, so like when I was learning how to deal with people dash jumping after they get hit by a light laser, I was like, okay, the 4 things I can do, let me just, okay. The depending on like how difficult of a read it is, or like how hard of a read it is I can light laser and then jump up medium laser, right? That's a pretty easy, that's a pretty like easy thing to that's a pretty safe read. If they don't do anything, I just whipped them M laser. It doesn't really matter that much. Or if they got hit by it, they got hit full screen. If they just dash jump blocked, they're not that much closer to me anyway, so I'm okay with it. The harder read would be if I do light dash up, I do light laser, then dash up and do a crouching light punch to try to anti-air their jump. If they're trying to do like a jumping button or something, and I see what buttons they're doing, if I can beat them out or not, depending on certain spacings and timings. So that's another thing that I would check, or like another thing that I would go with. The third hardest read would be to dash, do a light laser and dash, and then try to get a cross under jab. Depending on their jump arc, or if they use a double jump or anything, that can be a useful option as well to get like, that's like a decently hard read. It leads to a full combo which is not something that happens a lot of the time with anything else that Robo does. And I mean, I guess the crouching light punch is like it leads to full combo and like is not that committal. And the most committal option would be in that situation is to run up from full screen and try to get an air throw out, and then get an air throw combo. So those are the 4 things I would do that I would like. I would think of them now as intuitive, but when I was learning the character, I didn't really think of them as intuitively, and kind of went, I don't really know what I should be doing here, and kind of built those options up from playing more and talking to people.
Yeah, that's where like that covers a lot of those sections of improvement that you can use training room for. Like the option awareness, or like space where options can exist awareness, because so many situations like you're not even looking at the same situation as someone else is a lot of the time if they're more experienced. Like you're looking at it, you're like, what the fuck do I do here? But they look at it, it's like, obviously you can do all of this shit here.
Yeah.
And so going to training mode and just like messing around and seeing like where all the opportunities to do things are helps so much. Yeah. And getting like creative, coming up with all those options, coming up with those various degrees of risk reward.
Yeah, like basically understanding what the different things you can do and how risky they are and how much reward they give you.
Yeah. And you
Like
can pick
against,
how to play
like
from
if
there.
somebody's doing things in neutral, like if you're Big Ben and somebody's like doing things in neutral, you can go, I'm just going to heavy blast the crap out of them. But then it's like, how much does what things does it actually cover, and what things, like how much are you risking by doing that, you know, and how much are you actually getting out of it, stuff like
Yeah.
that. And you know, obviously parry plays into it, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know. Is there
So
anything?
that's like completely different from how I approach being creative in training mode. Like I tend not to find situations and then put order onto them. I tend to find something that went wrong and go, hey, that looks interesting and new and unexpected. And then I try and follow that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I guess
Well,
that's
yeah.
another way.
That's just generally the scientific creativity that happens. That's because most of the best scientific like discoveries are complete accidents.
Yeah.
And then you see, what the fuck was that? Then you explore. But seeing a situation and trying to put order on it, that's the main way that I like was creative in training mode. Because I was like, okay, I'm in this situation. What the fuck are my options? And then if you can, at the least, have like 3 options in every situation, no matter where you are or what you're doing, then at no point are you ever going to be, duh, what do I do?
Yeah. Or if you only know like one option, you might feel really limited and restricted as to what you can do.
Yeah. And even if you like find a situation where where you feel like you don't have options, and it actually turns out you don't have options, then it's like, oh, cool. Now I can stop thinking about that because I don't have options, and I can move on with my life.
Yeah. Or you can complain to Mike C. Back when that used to be an option. Not so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, you complain to the ghost of Mike C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you add Mike Z on Twitter and go, "Hi, your game was stupid." I mean, I haven't done that option yet. I think if Jedi makes me raid so hard I unretire, that might be something I'll pull.
Might be something.
But yeah, that's just mostly a joke. I don't know if you want to do that. But yeah, that's basically like, I can't think of much else about training mode specifically.
Yeah, a lot of it is just... There's no replacement for actually doing it. Like, for anything, there's no replacement for actually doing the thing. So if you're interested in using training mode, then, like, have a listen to what we talked about and how to use it and what you can use it for, and then just go nuts, see what you can do. And if you're new, then just practice your muscle memory, because if you can't act in the game, you can't act in the game. You need to act in the game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, to answer what one thing that you had a worry about before Age, where you were like stuck in the research rabbit hole and didn't know when to commit to practice something. It's like, generally it's worth practicing something if you can, like, it's like, I'll give an example, like if it's a hit confirm, it's worth practicing. If it's a mix-up, it's worth practicing. Like, if it's something that gives you a qualitative improvement to your game plan, it's worth practicing. even if it's like not the like ultimate form of it, at least if you have it practiced, then you now have it available to just do.
Yeah, but the problem is, if I'm practicing some jank ass reset when I can't do a B&B, I should probably be doing my B&B.
That is correct.
So I think there is like a basics level where people need to start, but otherwise it's like find something interesting and practice it.
Yeah.
It would be nice if we could like systemize it though.
I guess if you're actually going to talk about training routines, I didn't actually talk about it. But I guess I can mention DBFC because that's something I use training mode for all the time. So how I actually use training mode nowadays is when I play DBFZ, I wake up at like 6:30 or 7ish. I brush my teeth, do my blah blah, and then like get like some green tea, put on DBFZ on PS4, and for 1 hour I will practice for 20 minutes my team for 20 minutes my team go on combos, or 15 minutes my my Gotenks combos, and for 5 minutes my TN combos because that's how much difficulty they have.
Yep.
And then after that I'll practice my mid-screen combo, I'll practice my corner to corner combo, my corner combo, and then with like Teen Gohan with Gotenks I'll practice my jump success combos with both my assists. With TN I'll just do the basic BNB because that's pretty easy. And like I'll maybe if I feel like it, I'll like if I'm feeling really good about my execution, I'll practice my sparking combos as well. But that's not really that relevant to me right now because that's not really that important to me at the moment because I don't care about that. So I would just do that. And if there's something that's been troubling me extremely, I'll like write it down beforehand. And then when it comes to my training session, I'll see how much if I look at the situation and go, this is something that's really deep and I don't really think I'll be able to do that in like 10 minutes. I'll dedicate the whole hour to that specific thing and learn everything about it in that particular situation and what all my characters can do about a certain thing. Like I didn't know how to deal with Beam plus Vanish for a pretty long time, and I kind of went at one point. I just went, this is tiring. I just want to learn how to deal with this thing in its fullest, and I like took my whole hour and like explored every possible scenario I could do. Like, what if I blocked it? What are my options? What if I vanished the beam? What are my options? Or, like not vanish, I'm reflected the beam. What are my options? If I block the beam and they do a delayed vanish, what are my options? Depending on how much delay I can sometimes get a 2H out, or I can sometimes get a reflect out, stuff like that. And you know, and if it whiffs, how can I actually punish it? Usually you can just do a super dash, and then what are my combos after my super dash? That's what I would do there. But generally I would just have an hour before I'd like go to uni or anything like that. I take that hour, practice my DBFC, like practice my basic combos that I will never ever drop in tournament, or I don't want to ever drop in tournament. And then for like the next 15 minutes I kind of just dick around and try to see anything cool can happen, or practice my block strings, or if I find something like a interesting idea, I'll try to mess around with that and see if I can make something of it. So that's kind of how I use training mode now in a game that I'm less familiar with than Skullgirls. And I don't know if anybody else has anything similar to add to that, or if there isn't, we can just stop there, I guess.
Yeah, that just sounds pretty good.
So yeah, oh yeah, I guess we didn't really talk about what advanced players should be using training mode for. Again, I think it just comes down to situational awareness. The more you're aware of your options in a certain situation.
Yeah, when it comes to advanced usage of training mode, then you're literally you're going deep, you're trying to figure out, like if you're an advanced player and you're using training mode, you know what you're using training mode for.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really need to go into it, because it's always going to be game specific, character specific. Oh, I have this exact player in my scene that I need to like profile and download and delete specific, all that shit.
Yeah, I mean, like the better you are, the more like you are focused on what you want to do in a certain time frame and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess. So, yeah, I don't know if anybody else has anything else to add, but if not, then we can stop it right here. We kind of went over, like, we had a lot of breadth, not necessarily depth, but I feel like with training mode
Yeah.
specifically, there isn't a ton of depth to have in a lot of situations.
Yeah, the depth is more circumstantial with what you're actually digging deep into.
Yeah. Like if you want to learn like how to deal with things in training mode, it's like way more useful to actually have a thing to deal with.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm tired and sleepy.
So am I.
But yeah, thanks for you guys to come on to the podcast to talk about it. It was nice.
Anytime.
I don't know what we're gonna do next time. I don't know if you will have a next time for a pretty long time as well. I kind of want to don't do anything.
Yeah, work has been kicking my ass, so
I feel it.
Yeah.
I've got a tournament to run in a month, and I've got like tons of things to set up for that, and I've got
Yep.
university. But yeah, if you guys again, any last words from anybody?
get good.
No, not really.
No. What was that?
I think it was Hiss Pop.
I guess on that note, we'll end it. Thanks if you guys tuned in. It's super appreciative. If you guys have any feedback or anything, leave it in the comments or at me on Discord, or send me a DM if you really want to do that. Don't do that. Just put it off. Put it everywhere anyway, just so you can blow me up. It'd be really cool. And thanks everybody for watching and listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Yep.